Hey everybody, Diane Haggerty, Grassroots Taxes, and we're going to talk about gambling. We're going to talk about, are you a professional gambler? We're going to talk about what that entails and why you would want to be a professional gambler, why you wouldn't want to be a professional gambler. Let's talk about gambling in general. Generally, gambling is considered a hobby. It's something you do for fun that sometimes you make money at. That's what a hobby is. So, are you a professional gambler? Is it your job? Well, let's talk about why. Why do you want to be a professional gambler? For the prestige, because it sounds good. It's something you want to put on your resume. I'm a professional gambler. That's great. That doesn't make you a professional gambler. Why would you really want to be a professional gambler? One of two reasons. Either one, so you can take expenses, or two, so you can deduct your losses over your gains. Starting to sound pretty interesting now, isn't it? Normally, when you are gambling, if you gamble a lot, you hit a lot of jackpots, you're always going to the casino, you got a lot of money coming in, going out. That's great. Most of the time, you take all your wins, total them up, and then you take all of your losses, but you can't deduct your losses from your gains. It doesn't net. You report all of your gains as income, and it's included in your adjusted gross income, your AGI. Why is that important? Because your adjusted gross income determines the price of your marketplace health insurance. It determines whether you get earned income credit. It determines whether you get child tax credit. If you won $300,000 at the casino, even if you wound up losing money at the end of the day, if you have to report that as income, it's going to be on the income, and you ain't getting no child tax credit, you ain't getting no earned income credit, you ain't getting nothing no matter how poor you are, because your adjusted gross income was too high. So gambling is added to your adjusted gross income. Where do you deduct your losses? That's an itemized deduction. Itemized deductions for a single person are $15,000. If you have $10,000 in losses at the casino and you don't have any other itemized deductions, yeah, the standard's going to be better and you're not going to use those itemized deductions. So you just have to report it all as income. And still in 2026, they passed a new law that you're only going to be able to deduct 90% of your losses, not all of them. So that's like, it's starting to raise your income. So it's pretty, enticing to be a professional gambler, because not only can you deduct all of your losses, even if they're in excess of your gains, but you can also deduct your mileage back and forth to the casinos, your meals if you're more than 50 miles away from home, hotel stays if you're staying there for several days to gamble. Oh, this sounds great. I'm just going to go to the casino for a living. That's fantastic. Do you think this gets audited? Let's talk about audits. What are they going to audit if they audit you? If you are a professional gambler, do you have another job? Do you have another job? Is most of your money coming from gambling, where you're actually earning money? Or do you have like a full-time job and you just go to the casino all the time? Because if you have another full-time job, you're not a professional gambler, according to the IRS. It has to be your main source of income. It also has to be your main means of support. So if you have, say you're a trust fund baby and you don't have to work and you have money, you're not really a professional gambler if it's not really a profession and it's supporting you. If it's just extra fun money, yeah. It has to be your main source of income, which means what? You actually have to be making an income. You can't have a ton of losses. So if you are consistently losing money in excess of your gains, you're not a professional gambler because, I don't know, you're not very good at it. The other thing is, if you are making money, they want to see it practiced. I'm going to say this a bunch of times in a bunch of these professional videos. You have to practice it with continuity and regularity. That's what the IRS says, continuity and regularity. What does that mean? That means you have to do it pretty consistently. You have to be there at the casino. This has to be your main jive. So maybe it's not the casino. Maybe it's playing cards. Maybe it's sports betting. I do have a lot of people that are very good at sports betting. Maybe that's how you make your living. And that's great. You can be a professional gambler, but you cannot consistently deduct losses in excess of gains, so you could have a massive loss on your taxes. That's not going to go. And you have to practice it with continuity and regularity, and it has to be your main job, your main source of income. So if you're coming to me saying, I'm a professional gambler, I get to deduct all my expenses, you better have the records to back it up, because it's probably going to be audited. And if you are audited and you do a lot of gambling, you know what to do, right? I'll see you tax time.